This is the Flodden Memorial. 500 years ago, in 1513, was one of the major battles between the English and the Scots, of which the Scots suffered a terrible defeat. This is the memorial to the dead on both sides. This is the village of Branxton. The English forces came from the east to gather to the north of this side. The church down there in the valley received many of the dead when they were removed from the battlefield. Here is Branxton Hill, and on Branxton Hill the Scots resighted their guns, having first trained them from Flodden Hill onto Millfield Plain, where they expected the English to arrive. The Scots gathered their forces on the high ground. The English forces gathered here to the north, preventing the Scots from retreating. Instead of fighting the battle on Millfield Plain, where they'd have been desperately outnumbered and slaughtered, the English took a different turn. They headed from Wooler through Doddington across to Barmore Castle, where they stayed a while, and then crossed the old Twizel Bridge, the oldest bridge with a wide span. They crossed that and they came round to the north, cutting off the Scots' retreat. Here is the drainage ditch in the dip of land where most of the slaughter took place. In those days, of course, there was no ditch here. It was autumn, the rains had been heavy, and the ground was like a quagmire. The Scots, to the right of the picture, were armed with long pikes, and the English, to the left, were armed with much shorter billhooks. And as you can see in this picture, the long pike and the billhook. Now, in the boggy ground, the pikes proved to be very unwieldy. So although the Scots had greater numbers, the English, with their much more appropriate weaponry, were able to gain the upper hand as the Scots came down from the high ground, losing their advantage, and sank into the mud. Following the early success of Hume and Howard, they retreated from the battlefield, thinking they could leave King James's forces to wipe up the disarrayed English troops. However, Dacre had a group of cavalry, and they joined the fray over to the left here, on the drier ground, and they began to make some headway against King James's forces. However, the English also had a lot better understanding of the land around here. They knew that the ground was very boggy, and as King James's forces, seeing that they had the upper hand, rushed down, they quickly got bogged down. The pikes proved to be useless in the close hand-to-hand combat, and from then on it was downhill all the way for the Scots forces. They were finished off when from the right archers under Stanley came in. As the battle was in full flight and the Scots were being routed in the hand-to-hand fighting in the morass at the bottom of the valley, with the English billhooks proving much more successful than the Scottish cumbersome pikes, and their light guns more efficient and manoeuvrable than the heavy Scottish ones. From this direction over to the east came Stanley's troops with their archers. This proved to be the final undoing of the Scots forces, as they and King James were slaughtered. It was in this valley that most of the slaughter took place. Surrey's troops, the English, massacred the Scots as they poured down from their position of advantage on the high ground to the left. All in all, there were over 14,000 left dead and dying, worse than in many of the severe battles of World War I and the Somme. King James of Scotland lay amongst the dead. Weetwood Bridge. The English troops would have crossed this bridge on the march from Wooler through to Doddington. This is the land surrounding Barmore Castle, where the English troops camped on their way round towards Branxton. Here's the entrance to the castle of Barmore. Bridge, one of the finest medieval bridges still existent in this country. It crosses the River Till, and its single span was the widest from its completion in 1511 until 1727. The morning of the battle, 9th of September 1513, the English army's vanguard of about 10,000 men and a cannon crossed the bridge heading west to outflank the Scottish army at Branxton Hill.